Thanks everyone for joining us, the last session for the day, so we appreciate you sticking around. We'll be going over our session today, which is driving strategic decision making using Pure for data reporting and analysis. The agenda for today's session is just to do a brief introduction of ourselves and then go into just an overview of what Pure reporting is all about for those of you who may not be familiar. And then we'll take a look at reporting in the US specifically, look at examples of reporting at University of Minnesota and UTMB, and then we'll talk a little bit about future of reporting. If there are any questions, we'll be taking those towards the end, so hold on to that. All right, so my name is Bushra Patni. I am a customer success consultant for Pure at Elsevier. Andy?
I'm a research information management librarian at the University of Minnesota.
I'm Melody Moore. I'm a research development specialist at the University of Texas Medical Branch in Galveston.
And I'm Dave Shear. I am a solutions engineer for Interfolio and Pure with Elsevier.
All right, with that, let's get into it. So what is Pure reporting? For those of you who don't know, Pure reporting provides better research transparency based on different audience needs. Essentially, whatever data you add into Pure can be reported upon. So in the image that you see on the screen at the top in those gray boxes are the different content types that feed into Pure. So you have your profiles, your researchers, your departments, and then content like publications, data sets, activities, press media, equipment, facilities. All this information is in Pure. And based off on that, you can create different reports. So you can create reports around performance, around, let's say, grant activity, open access management, so on and so forth. And once you create these reports, you can share that with specific individuals who may request it from you or who would need that. So you could share it with someone like the VP of Research, Dean's department heads, librarians, researchers, etc. So Dave and I actually last year in 2024 wanted to better understand how institutions within the US do reporting with Pure data. So we decided to conduct a study, and we reviewed about 20 customers who have full Pure, and we wanted to understand how they are reporting. So we looked at it in two ways, which is how do they use the reporting module within Pure to be able to create these reports, and also how do they use the APIs to be able to build reports. So essentially, we asked specific questions as part of the study. For instance, what are the type of reports they create, on what specific content, who those reports are shared with, how often are those reports shared, what are they used for? Are they used for strategic planning, any specific kind of analysis, and then eventually what are the outcomes? So what's the end goal with it? So what we found was that the reporting was used for multiple purposes, mainly two. The first being evidence-based external reviews. So using that to make sure that it supports an institution's strategic planning and review processes. And the second was to look at internal data quality. So Pure is an information management system, so it's important to make sure that the data is accurate and of quality. So a lot of the reporting was also centered around identifying gaps in information. So if there were any missing profiles or ORCID IDs for that matter, and then just overall reviewing the completeness and the quality of the data, whether it's current or not. And then we want to share a couple of examples related to this. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, Andy.
Sure. So Bush was talking about that survey, and that's across the United States. I guess my experience is what I'm going to talk about here today as I hit my mic is really about what that looks like at one institution. So I'm at the University of Minnesota, and this is what reporting looks like for us. How do I advance slides? Oh, magic button. And so I find that in my 2 years here that there's a wide variety of reasons why people are reaching out to me to do reporting. Very diverse. I try to throw together the word cloud with, of course, the larger words being the ones that happen more frequently. But you can see it is a wide-ranging collections from identifying patents, identifying research strengths, identifying areas of research. Coming from libraries, something I expected, and this is speaking to my own personal experiences, is that you would know in your own college, your own area, the big things that are happening. If someone has a publication that's popular, if a big research grant comes out, you would kind of just know about it, you'd hear about it. But when I was interviewing different administrators on campus, often that was the struggle that they were having. Associate deans of research saying, I don't know what's going on. I gave 14 people money and asked for a report. How many reports did I get? 0 reports. So that lack of information, that lack of communication is one of the ways that peer reporting has come in and helped out these different individuals of getting information about their faculty, about their publications, whether it's to understand their productivity or to celebrate faculty, to say, oh, you did this paper, it's in this prestigious publication, good job. That type of information has been valuable to them. So these are the goals, because I always like to start out with asking somebody when I'm meeting with them, what goals, what do they want to accomplish, because they may have an idea of what they request, but it's not always what they want to accomplish. For all the librarians out there, this is the essential reference interview, but it's essentially just trying to get more information through conversation. For these reports that we've done over the past 2 years at University of Minnesota, there is a wide variety of who's requesting them, but the most common one, I think, is what you would expect, which I think my notes have about 24% of research administrators, associate deans of research, a provost, chancellor, people with very fancy titles. They're the most common people that are requesting data, which is understandable. But it has a wide variety of other people requesting data. One of the surprising ones that I was not expecting is marketing communications. About 13% of people that are wanting reporting data is marketing communications. Center administrators is also very common for our institution. Did it again. For our institution. Administrative assistants, research managers, all these areas, around 10% of the reports coming in. So a wide variety of people requesting reports. Seeing how many medical schools here, you would not be surprised that 40% of the reports coming in are requests from our medical school, and about 15% engineering and 15% public health. Going on from there is about another 12 or 13 different colleges and areas requesting reports. So wide variety, though, of course, the most is medical school. The most common method I use is just the reporting module in Pure. Who uses the Pure reporting module? Oh, less people than I thought. Okay. This is the one I use the most. It's the quickest, easiest way to get data for me. It's not quite easy enough in my experience for me to give them access and they can just pick up and run with it. I need to create those reports for them. I do that, I set that up, I gather that information, I do it for them. They do like the email feature, though they would like to have that Excel spreadsheet as part of that email when they get that data point. So that's kind of a con of the system. Another con of the system is, I'm gonna grab my notes. I'm always used to standing on a podium and talking. Okay. Sorry, I'm messing up the chair system. Our institution has a lot of data, so it can be a little slow at times, but that's the most common method that we use. Bushra, could you hit the green button for the next slide? Thank you. Another way that we use it is probably the most common way that doesn't involve human input is we use an API that goes to our medical school, and they have a visualization platform, a page that they call Manifold, but essentially it pulls in their publication data for their faculty and it analyzes it by a variety of different metrics, which is very heavily used for the promotion and tenure process for the medical school. And they have some unique metrics that they calculate as part of that export through the API. It is very easy to access, which is a huge plus, but it also does take developer time to make that kind of content. Who has used VOSviewer? Okay, but the same people that has used the standard reporting module. This is a platform I use sometimes as well for reporting. It has a very specific goal. I think if you haven't used it before, it's about showing the types of connections. These are all different faculty that was requested for a particular project. And so trying to show this connections between them, and the size of the bubble shows how many connections they've had to the different individuals. And the color is research coded for research. So this can be a good tool to use to show those types of connections. It can easily become a bit messy with so many different people in your analysis, but whenever someone wants to show those types of connections, this is the type of visualization that they prefer. And so I use the Pure data exported to do that type of reporting for them. You do need a name cleanup with VOS Viewer, so there is that. So for those that have done reporting, what are the common data sets that you're generally using? Or what are your requests for data? What are usually your requests are? Yeah, that's the most basic thing that I get as well. So I think that's pretty common. And so I try highlighting a few things here that I found interesting or more unique that wasn't that initial request, but once I had that conversation, people found it valuable, that were all coming in through Pure. So field-weighted citation impact people were often interested in is one of the metrics coming in for publications. Mentions from PlumX in reporting people found useful. The collaboration data. Seeing who they're working with, what institutions people have found very useful in when I've done Pure reporting. SDGs and what areas those are connected to, what SDGs people have found very interesting, and funding data. That's another aspect that people have found particularly interested in when I've done reporting. And the last data set is some of the centers that we worked with create their own custom keywords, whether it's what period the grant comes with or what project it comes with, specific keywords. And so when they've added those keywords, then using reporting to do the type of analysis on those different aspects they found really particular reporting. So that's a one institution overview of what reporting looks like. And I'm going to pass it on to Melody, who's got some cool stuff to show us.
Thank you. So since Andy did the heavy lift and showed you everything about reporting, I thought I would show you how I use it and what the reports look like. So University of Texas Medical Branch is over 100 years old. It was developed in the early 1890s as the first medical school west of the Mississippi. We have been there going through hurricanes and surviving ever since. In 2008, we became the home of the Galveston National Lab for Infectious Disease. It is still thriving despite attempts of infectious disease to be wiped off and forgotten about. So we are still doing that. And we have 5 schools, including a School of Population and Public Health, a health profession school, a school of nursing, and our graduate school, including our medical school. So we have some really great programs within those schools, and you'll see why in just a minute. So I used icons for the report definitions to show you how I got to these reports, whether I used publications, internal, and I did it in order so you could easily rebuild any of these reports that I'm going to show you. UTMB research, as I said, is broad and breadth and very wide. And last year when I was in Spain, Pat said, Elsevier or Pure is currently on 6 continents in the US. And I didn't stand up in the middle of his presentation and say, actually, Pat, you're on 7 because we have operations in Antarctica. So as you can see, we have 90 clinics across the Houston metro area. We are in 43 cities across Texas. We collaborate with 49 states across the USA. I don't know who the 50th is, but 208 countries or territories across the world, all 7 continents. And because of our aerospace medicine, we have done research up on the space station too. So we are everywhere. You may not know us, but we're everywhere. So how did I get this report though? So what I did was I took the publications and I did the year published, publication, title, year. I added the list index with the last name, contributor roles, and you can see everything here. And then broke it down by city, state, and territory and figured out where we were doing publications and who we were collaborating with across the globe. So it was a pretty easy report. Some of the things we've talked about, like external organizations, had to be cleaned up and tracked down and things like that to get the numbers, but that's what we did. So You've heard about my research strategic plan and my integrated health communities. I'm pretty proud of this. It was a great plan. I always tell people, and I know this is recorded and it's been recorded before, that Texas has a hard time believing we're part of the U.S. So being part of the UN is not even in our focus. So we don't use the UN strategic development goals. Nobody's ever mentioned those yet. But I really liked the badges, so I came up with this idea back in 2019 when our new research strategic plan came out. We had six communities, and I needed to find out how in those communities we were functioning, how many researchers we had in each community and why. And so I took all the keywords, I put them through, the first time I did it, I put them in this spreadsheet that was very long and very complicated, and spent about 3 months going through each one and looking at them. And then I met Moises at a conference, and he said, "Why are you doing it this way? We can do it electronically." And I said, "No." And he did. And but we came up with the badges. So if you go to our website and you click on any of the badges, you're going to find everyone in those health communities associated. It was really a great idea. So the report that I used, as you can see, the report I started with persons on that, and then went to outputs, including grants, and then organizational unit. And because I was doing it by only the past 5 years, the earliest published date. So that's how I built that report. Of course, this is just publications by health community. Pretty simple, how many health communities are doing what they're doing. And you can see that our specialized health, which was actually surprising because our money comes from infectious disease, but our specialized health had the most publications. So that was, and then how did I build that report? You can see it there. Year published, scope of citation, Plumx social media, and persons, and then research pillar keywords, all of which are in my reporting module. Okay, so we were talking about AI. We talked a lot about AI. In April, I went to, well, first let me talk to you about funding institutional. With the help of Sophia, I call on Pure and funding institutional Elsevier people all the time for help. It's like I reach out all the time. So with the help of Sophia, we came up with, I am currently an owner of Funding Institutional, and Funding Institutional, through some conversations, decided that we could have directed university topic areas that we could just pull, so that my people didn't have to go through and search on their own. They could just go to brain health and pull up the brain health, all the brain health funding opportunities. So this is the brain health, and these are the kind of the word cloud that we use to find that. And so you went into brain health, and you could see there's 419 opportunities when I pulled this screenshot. So then we used a fingerprint web service extraction tool. We pulled all of these fingerprint keywords from Pure. We pulled, and as you can see, and then I started highlighting them to see which ones were the most used, which ones got the most hits, things like that. So out of 37 pubs, Alzheimer's, amyloids, tau, et cetera, came up a lot. And so I did that for each keyword. Then I took those keywords, and because I had the spreadsheet that I did this with, I went to a conference in April to Albuquerque for a research analytics conference. If you guys have the opportunity to go to that, Baron Wolf, who is not here right now, sponsors that. He's got an NSF grant, and he's going to do it for the next 4 years. One of the best research analytics conferences I've ever been to. Everyone was talking about how they use AI in research analytics and what do they do. And so I decided, that I could possibly do this. So I went back to the hotel room that night, and I took my brain health report, and I took my brain health report that I already had, and I took the current funding institutional brain health research, institutional research areas, and I put them in Copilot. And I said, please pull a report for me that gives me all the keywords that match in the Pure, and all the keywords that match in funding institutional, put them together, match the researcher to the funding opportunity, and give me a relevancy score of 80% or more. So what it did was it pulled, those are the two files, 9 major keyword categories, 35 minor keywords, as you can see in this word. So out of the current relevant, I got 5 funding opportunities. with a relevancy score of over 80. I sent those 5 funding opportunities to the researchers that it pulled. And they said, and I said, let me know as soon as possible if these are good opportunities, if you knew about them, things like that. They did not know about them, and they all loved them. So it was a great exercise, and it worked out well. And it was also, I also have to give a call out to Chris from, I don't know his last name, Chris James from Great Britain, who was there. Again, I never pause at asking somebody at Elsevier for help. He helped me with the prompt. I was able to do this that night. I even pulled the slide from AI to make it. So the conference worked. So that, but also the idea that I had these 2 tools that could work together worked too, and I really recommend doing that. So that is how I use and how I do reporting, and you have used reporting.
Thank you, Melody. So some key takeaways for all of you. So first, as we talked about, Bushra shows you, we see reporting can be used for a lot of dynamic ways, and they can be classified in these kind of 2 main categories, whether it be operational review, like do all my researchers have an ORCID, and where are their gaps? Where do I need to conduct engagement? You know, what departments do we need to go and talk to? But also looking for an external review and what kind of an impact can we have to do that kind of classic analytical reporting capability. So there's more challenges with that, obviously. So we're looking at what types of reports do we need, and that gets to understanding, you know, what types of reports do I need to create and for what purpose, and understanding, you know, what the need is for that report. This also helps us then to understand how we can further improve our internal qualities. It's easier to capture if we can do this, because this is another way we can focus on the data and looking at Pure serving different groups. Andy talked about, you know, one of the key stakeholder groups that you may not think to work with from a reporting standpoint is the research communications teams. So understanding, you know, what is reporting needs across an institution, and understanding that you have a diverse subset of stakeholders that may not understand that what they need is Pure reporting. And that's going to help the use cases that they're trying to achieve as well. And lastly, when you think about all these different stakeholders that you may be working with, what purposes can we serve with this? So helping to understand, and both Andy and Melody talked about working with their stakeholders and asking, is this what you're looking for? What are the challenges you're having? How can I help you? Whether through using Pure reporting or the combination of multiple solutions like Pure reporting and funding institutional, as well as adding on AI, as many of our institutions are now starting to adopt different AI systems. You're able to then go beyond just working with leadership, but showing the impact that you can have by working with leadership and stakeholders across your organizations. So this is how we can demonstrate and communicate the value and impact of not only the work that you're doing, but the data that you hold on to and the impact that your work can have by supporting others through that work. So I'm also going to give some ideas of what's the future of reporting. So for those of you that weren't here earlier, we talked a little bit about some of the ways that we're expanding reporting to support other use cases across Pure. And one of the ones we talked about earlier today was the new CV capabilities for institutional CVs and other document templates. So as I had talked about earlier, this is the reporting module supporting the CV module. And as a partner who may license the CV module, you're not required to license the reporting module to take advantage of that new capability, but it's there to support that capability. And while I had the triple X's because we weren't sure when it was going to be released, the good news that I can report is it's already released. So the new capabilities for the CV module are now available. They were just announced in our 5.33.1 release. So starting here in North America on July 10th, if you're hosted, which most of you are, we'll have that new capability rolled out to your systems, starting with all the new upgrades to the new version. Some of the things that we're hoping to do in the future is looking at how we can expand and extend the capabilities for reporting where you can see the import and export of templates. So this is a great thing. I think Andy hit it on that. You know, you have the capability to have other reporting administrators if you want, but then that comes also with the training, the engagement, the access. But a lot of times it's just engaging with those individuals and understanding, what are your needs? Let me understand how to make a report. And then understanding what you're looking for doesn't mean I have to start from square one. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel with every report that you need, because we can utilize the Pure Client Community Portal and looking at our reporting community to look at what are their templates that are reports that already exist. It's kind of like Pure's version of the App Store for reporting. You get the ability to see the template that you want, an example of what the report looks like, and then download the JSON and then re-import it into your Pure system. So we're hoping to carry that functionality into CV, where eventually you'll be able to download and import CV templates that you can also share amongst yourselves as Pure community members. Some of the other things we're looking to consider is the bulk capabilities, so being able to do bulk downloads and importing, and being able to create CVs in bulk as well. So if I wanted to generate a CV for my entire department or a lab for an upcoming grant application, I could do that as the administrator and download those in bulk and have one for every individual that I want using that same template and structure. Likewise, with reporting, there are so many visualizations that you see today in the data stories. That is also going to be continued to expand and grow. And we're hoping then that those will carry over also into CV as well. So having additional scorecards, pie charts, line charts, different ways to visualize the information. Some of the ways that we see it also in VOS Viewer, seeing those capabilities coming in the future as well on the roadmap. Likewise, one of the key features, this is something I remember asking for early on, is the new capabilities with being able to do reporting on fingerprints. So that's another capability that came out earlier this year after we had to roll out our slides. So that's kind of the great things. It's like, well, we may have it, we may not. Now we know, it's there. So you can also do reporting using fingerprints. And Melody talked a little bit about the capabilities of using those keywords and fingerprints and how you can utilize that for your reporting needs. So with that, we're really excited to talk about how reporting is being used today, and we're excited to hear how you're going to be using reporting in the future. Thank you.